All right, so we did a poll on our Civilian Arms Instagram account. This is our second Civilian Arms YouTube upload. And we asked the people what they wanted, and Nate did the poll. The majority said they wanted to see a breakdown and a cleaning of an AR-15. So we got a few AR-15s and a couple Glocks as well. So we figured why not just clean them all at once. Nate has a very dirty AR here that hasn't been cleaned in a long time. And then I have, mine's been cleaned pretty recently. But I'm going to show you guys how to properly oil your gun and make sure that it's reliable and continues to keep shooting rounds out. So we're going to jump into this. We're filming this on an iPhone. My camera that I brought, I forgot a memory card. So we're iPhoning it. So I apologize if the audio is off a little bit. And I haven't made a YouTube video in a while, so I'm a little rusty on talking to the camera. The first thing we're going to do is we have two different setups of cleaning materials, to each their own. These are just two different little kits that you could try out and just figure out what works best for you or whatever's in your budget. For myself, I got turned on to these Remington oil wipes. They're basically just baby wipes coated in, what is it? It's basically this stuff, which is just a CLP. It helps break down carbon on the parts inside the gun. They're cheap, 12 bucks. Got a price tag right here. I got these ones at TriTac shooting range here in Salem, Oregon. And I'll show you in a second how well they work. And then to soak some of the parts, I'll put a little bit of the CLP on the bolt, the firing pin, charging handle, whatever, and I'll throw it in like a bowl and just kind of let it soak for a minute to help loosen up some of that carbon so it can be wiped off. And then the oil that I use is this Lucas gun oil, which I don't know how awesome this is. It's actually kind of expensive for what it is. But when I got into guns coming from motorsports, a reputable brand, Lucas Oil products, I don't know, I just kind of got turned on to this. And it is petroleum based, and that's neat. Using something a little different.
Yeah. So I used to be a Travis Haley, Chris Costa fanboy. Watching their videos turned me on to this frog lube stuff. It's supposed to be, was it FDA approved or something where you can eat it?
You can drink it?
Yeah, you can drink this if you choose to.
You won't die is what he's getting at. You probably shouldn't, but
it's nice
safe.
if you're going to clean the guns like in the house and we have like the dogs.
And a baby.
Yeah, in the baby, you got stuff all over your hands. I mean, it's not ideal because there's carbon and copper, jacketing, lead, yeah, all that stuff. But basically it comes with this kind of like a paste type stuff. Can't see it, but it doesn't fall out. Almost like a wax that works pretty good. That way it'll stay wherever you leave it. It also comes with its own lubricant. So this is much like the Lucas, just a different version. All of this stuff too is supposed to stay on even if the metal gets wet or your gun goes underwater, stuff like that. Then it has a small little bottle, spray bottle. This is the solvent that they use or they created, and it works pretty decent. It's mainly to take off any kind of frog lube products. If you
Similar
were to
this.
Yeah, almost, or
break
free.
Break free, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it works for the frog lube stuff. It doesn't cross over into petroleum-based stuff. When you first do your guns in frog lube, there's instructions. You have to heat up the parts. At a certain temperature, metal becomes porous, and that's when you're supposed to apply this stuff because it'll seep into the metal and it almost coats it.
Yeah.
Like Navy SEALs were the ones who thought of this, so they're like, how could we make our guns, better
Stay
underwater?
lubricated while being submerged and whatnot.
Right.
How much does this kit cost?
Dude, I couldn't tell you. It was so long ago.
You don't have a rough idea?
I could pull that.
Okay.
Let me pull that.
So this is where, I mean, you get what you pay for sure. And to ensure that you have a reliable weapon and a safe to fire weapon is important. But there are things that have a bit of a gimmick behind them, that cost a little bit more. This setup right here, I have the price tags on everything. The CLP break-free stuff is $9 at Walmart. These are 12 bucks. These have lasted a long time.
Right.
Now that might be better. I don't know. I've never used it, but with a package like that, what's that price tag?
So it's anywhere between 35 and 45 bucks, rough estimate.
Okay. But it's the whole kit.
It is. It comes with everything. It even comes with brushes and these kind of weird plastic swabs that you could buy at Sportsman's Warehouse, Cabela's, that kind of thing.
Piece together your own kit, kind of like what I did.
Right, yeah. It comes prepared for you.
So, I mean, these are the basics that you'll need. I mean, a couple cotton swabs, a bore cleaner, what else? We got a couple little brushes, a snake.
Mm-hmm.
These are
snakes.
Very basic stuff that you can pick up at your local, like Sportsman's, Walmart, gun shop, whatever you got next to you. Now, before we get into the cleaning process, one of the most important things when handling your weapon in your house, trying to clean it, trying to take it apart, whatever, is that they are all clear and safe, right? So we've already done this, but let's do it again. Mm-hmm. Up here we have Nate's new pistol. You can see in there, it is clear. We'll drop the bolt. It's empty. We've got a few handguns up here. We've got a couple Glocks. Clear. Moving down the line here. Maybe we shouldn't have brought out so many guns, actually. Okay. Clear.
But it looks cool, right?
If you are going to pull that trigger, make sure it's in a safe direction, just in case.
That's right.
Clear. Okay. And we got this guy back here. It's clear. You guys can't see. There's the empty magazine well. Drop the bolt. Clear. You want to make sure that one's clear. I'll inspect it.
See it. Double
clear.
Check it. Drop the bolt. Safety off. Fire. Nothing happens. So Caleb just checked out all these guns. Like he said before, we had checked every weapon to make sure that there's no ammo in the cleaning area, no ammo in the weapon. We just wanted the camera to view that.
We want to show you guys.
Yeah, because everybody's like, oh my gosh, you're pointing at us, all that stuff. So being an instructor, there's something called the ILFE triple check. And ILFE stands for International Association of Law Enforcement Firearms Instructors. Super long-winded.
Yeah.
Basically, once you become a member, you have to be sponsored and pay a fee and all that stuff. Once you become a member, these guys meet every so often and they come up with new training ideas, safety requirements, all that kind of stuff, and it's really cool. But they developed something in the past called an ILFE triple check, and what you're doing is checking to make sure that there's no brass in the barrel, right? Because if you're looking for brass, if you tell yourself consciously, hey, I'm looking for brass, you could possibly see that brass, unlikely, but possibly see that brass, say, okay, I saw it, pull the trigger, and kabam! Scare the crap out of you, right?
Yeah.
So what you want to do is just look to make sure that the barrel's clear. You see the barrel's clear, you physically feel that the barrel's clear, you look down the magazine well, you physically feel down the magazine, and that's one rotation. I would do that 2 more times.
It might seem excessive, but this is pretty serious.
It
a
is.
Negligent discharge in your home in a neighborhood, that round could go through your wall. Might not hit anybody in your house, but you've got neighbors, you've got people outside driving by, you've got animals. It's important. And if you're with a buddy, like I'm sitting next to Nate, we're going to go over this gun. He's going to hand it over to me. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to look inside of it. I'm going to feel the barrel. I'm going to stick my finger down the magazine well. I'm going to say the weapon looks clear. Now, I could check it 3 times like he just showed you. But after watching him do it 3 times and me doing it once, we're on round 4 here, the gun is clear and it's safe to handle. It's a very important part of this whole process. For you guys, you new guys that are just getting your first AR, you've shot 500 rounds through it, you think it's time to clear it, or clean it, sorry. Let's talk about how often you should clean your weapon, though.
Okay.
I think it is a misconception that you should clean your weapon every time after you use it, right? Now, this gun here is Nate's everyday carry. He carries this, he counts on this firearm to protect himself, the people around him, his family. It's very important that this gun works, right? So if he does take it out to the range and shoot it, he's probably going to come home and clean it.
Exactly.
This gun is my range daddy. Okay? This gun is just meant...
workhorse.
It is meant to shoot as much as it can at the range, and that's it. I have a Glock 19 that's my home defense gun. And look,
and it wants to look good.
It looks really fucking cool.
Yeah, it's sexy.
So this gun, I clean about every 1,000 to 2,000 rounds. Okay? Or when it stops working. So don't think...
Has it stopped working yet?
It's never stopped working.
Oof.
Never had a malfunction. So
interesting.
Just think about that. You know, don't think that you have to do this all the time, right? This stuff will stretch out a lot longer if you're taking your AR-15, which is not your everyday carry, I hope, you know, to the range 3-4 times a month. Maybe clean it once a month. I think that's a good...
Yeah.
About once a month.
I mean, so it all depends. You're going to shoot it often or you're not. If you know that it's going to sit in your safe, your gun cabinet, whatever, I would say once a month is a minimum, just in case. The whole reason that you have that gun there is for the oh shit scenario.
Yep.
So if you were to just leave the gun in there, no matter what type of products you're using, it has time to dry up or congeal,
Yep.
which could slow down or create a stoppage.
Yep.
Could create a malfunction when your life depends on it. So I would say once a month, pull your guns out of your safe, your desk drawer, whatever you do. I don't recommend desk drawer. But
I mean, I don't keep all of my guns in a safe. But what he's saying, I agree. Maybe not cleaning it. If you haven't shot it all month and you're like, well, why would I clean it? It's just been sitting here all month. Well, all that oil will start to run off and it'll start to dry out. So if you're not going to clean it, just run through it and oil it. We're going to show you how to do that today. I know that there are a ton of how to clean your AR, how to clean your Glock videos on YouTube. And we're just trying to add a little bit more information. I mean, we shoot a lot. We probably shoot between 2,000 to 5,000 rounds a month between our little group of civilian arms.
Yeah, if we minimum 2 between us.
Yeah.
If we're talking group,
Yeah, it gets pretty out of hand sometimes. So we've seen it all, right? Stoppages, malfunctions, parts being non-reliable. I can tell you about the ones that are reliable, and we're gonna go through that and how to keep your shit working reliably.
Yep.
So yeah, before we get too carried away with this rant, let's get into this.
All right. So there's 2 takedown pins that connect the lower and the upper receiver together. You can see on this rifle, they're actually oversized, so you can take them off with gloves in case you need to do that. Majority of people don't have that, so we're just going to look at the other side. The takedown pins extend through the lower receiver enough that you can use some sort of a tool to knock them back, and that'll give you enough leverage to pull them out through the other side. And the upper and lower receiver come apart just like that. So it's painted, some of the paint's wearing off. It doesn't actually look too bad down here, but basically with this, I'm just going to use a Q-tip and some of the degreaser or solvent that's provided by Frog Lube, and take out any additional brass, lead, carbon buildup. Because the explosion is going to happen here, this is where the bolt carrier group passes through. It'll hit the buffer, go back into the buffer tube, the spring will allow it to recoil. We're going to go ahead and just clean this area out right here. It's basically the trigger group. I have a drop-in trigger, so there's less springs and stuff. The trigger kit comes as one whole group, and all you have to do is put the trigger retaining pins in. You can't see that there's 2 pins because I have this anti-rotational kit, but there are 2 pins. So it's pretty dirty. I haven't cleaned this thing in a really long time. Only reason I'm cleaning it is for this video. Sweet. That is pretty much all I will do for the lower. I know some people like to take out the buffer tube. For me, not enough carbon goes back there, so it's not that important. Now that I'm done with that, I'll move the lower over, and let's pull the upper. So, as you can see, the dust cover is closed, my charging handle is forward, and there's the bolt carrier group. To pull this thing out, all you're going to do is engage your charging handle, pull it back all the way. Once it's back all the way, your bolt carrier group will just slide right out. It's kind of in this channel here. This is already falling out. So there's the channel. The gas tube on the bolt carrier group would just slide in like that, and that's how it would sit inside of your receiver. So, easiest part first. Grab some of the CLP. CLP stands for Clean, Lube, Protect. Just run it down this. These things are really dirty. This is where all of the carbon gets pushed back to cycle the bolt carrier group and chamber another round. Okay. All right, so next I usually move to the upper. This is where you can see it's dirty. Try to get it in the light here. Like a flashlight or something. I've got tons. So you can see the gas tube sticks through the upper housing. Basically, you're going to want to clean the end of that, and underneath it, there's going to be a lot of carbon buildup right there. You still got light on me?
Yeah, show them star chamber.
Okay. So I don't know how well you can see it.
That's pretty good. You can see it.
The star chamber's in there. That's where basically the barrel sits. The end of the star chamber, I don't know if you can see that, that's the end of the barrel, and then the barrel nut that sits on the outside of the upper housing is what holds the barrel on to the housing, and that's what gives you the head spacing. Why it's dirty is you take your bolt carrier group, you can slide it in there. I don't have a charging handle in there, but those two pieces meet. And when I talked about it earlier, the gas system, that gas keeps moving back until it gets through the end of that tube, pushes this back, and then that's what gives you the recoil. This would push on the buffer spring, and then it would close and pick up and chamber a new round. Next, we're going to move on to the bolt carrier group. So with the bolt carrier group, I like to pull the actual bolt forward itself. It basically pulls a firing pin forward, and this is going to allow me to get this pin out a little bit easier. You can use your corner of your fingernail if you have a knife or something. Some people's get stuck. You can just use your knife, put it in the eyelet of that pin, and pull it free. Then I push the bolt back, and you have this piece here that the firing pin goes through. So I'll pull the firing pin out, and you're going to see just how dirty this thing is. So this is supposed to be silver. Caleb's going to show you a close-up. Going to turn this pin here. You have to move this pin all the way to the rear because it's a rectangle. You can't get it out the other way. And then just hit it, it falls out. It is super dirty as well. And there you have a field strip of the bolt carrier group.
I want to show you guys this in a close-up view. Is right in this area here is where you will get the most carbon buildup. You can see that. It almost calcifies to the bolt itself, and Nate's going to show you to clean that.
Just use a little CLP on this bad boy, lube it up. I'm going to brush it just a little bit.
Might end up using my steel toothbrush. I don't think this thing's going to change colors anytime soon.
You guys probably can't see it as well, but it's much cleaner than it was. It's already lubed now, and it's close enough for government work. Now this hammer side of the firing pin, it almost looks like a nail or part of a rivet. right here is where you're going to collect the most carbon and brass. So I will use my steel brush to brush that off. Try to break up any debris that heated up onto it. Okay. Next, I'll move to the bolt itself. Add a good amount of CLP. This whole thing lubed up. The star itself. So forward of the gas rings, I'm not too worried about it. It usually doesn't collect too much buildup. Just clean all the carbon off of it. You can check the teeth of the star on the bolt. My hands are so lubed up.
That's what she said.
And there you have it. Much cleaner than it was before. Next, move on to the carrier group. You'll be able to see pretty easy where it's the most dirty.
Okay, Michael. Right, Scott? That's right. That is right. This used to be almost like chrome looking. Yeah. Should use one of those CLP wipes. Do it. No, I'm gonna do that. Huh? I'm gonna do it separate. After you're done, I'm gonna do a Glock or something. I'm gonna use those so people can see it. In all the little holes. This back here. Plug in holes. That's right. Sounds what she said.
And there we go. That's about as clean as I'm gonna want it. Get one clean Q-tip to run down where the firing pin sits. Then to just reassemble this thing, you'll see on the bolt one side has the ejector piece. That side is going to face the right unless you have a left-handed setup. You're going to want to line up that bolt with this side of the gas tube. Once you have that lined up, you put the firing pin retainer in, turn it because there's that hole that the firing pin has to go through. Drop the firing pin in. I like to push it back. It makes it easier to push this retaining clip into. The retaining clip goes in and we're up and running. You can see there's these little knobs. Look into the upper receiver, line those up, make sure it's pushed down. Push it almost all the way forward. You have to have enough rail for the gas tube to go into. Push your bolt in first, line the tubes together, and push it forward. It's flush, it's locked, everything's ready to go. Put your lower receiver back on it. It's easier if the hammer is back or engaged. Retaining clips are down, functions check. Safety works, safety goes off, charge it, fire, hold the trigger, charge it again, it resets properly, and you're good to go. Safety goes on. That's how you clean the AR-15.
So Nate just gave you guys an in-depth field strip clean of an AR-15. What I'm going to do is, we talked about keeping your rifles lubricated. Say you haven't shot it in a couple months, but it's been in your safe. You want to make sure that thing's lubed up and ready to go in case you do need to use it. So I'm going to go over that. I've got my Radical Firearms 10.5 pistol kind of broken down already. You're going to do the same thing that he spoke about. We're going to pull out the bolt carrier group. We're going to pull out the charging handle, and we're just going to set the upper off to the side because we are not cleaning it. We are just lubing it. And he touched on this a little bit, that anywhere that there's friction is where you are going to want to clean, right? Or lubricate. So I have the lower receiver, the bolt carrier group, and the charging handle. I use a Law Tactical folder, so this thing just sits in the back of my bolt carrier group. I'm gonna take that out. I'll get closer so you guys can see. Do you want to tap that screen?
Yep.
So anywhere that there is exposed like metal and the coating has been taken off is where you are going to want to lubricate, because that is where the friction is happening. So right in there, we've got right in here. I use this oil, like I said, just some gun oil from Lucas, and I'm just going to put 1 drop or maybe 2 in each one of those spots. Right, nothing crazy. Anywhere that there is friction, nothing crazy. Okay, I'm gonna set that off to the side. Charging handle, same thing. I use a Radian Raptor, and it's pretty obvious where I'm seeing wear. Right here at the tip. Yeah, that's what she said. And right here in the back, right by the wings. So just a little bit of oil. Nate did not take out his buffer and spring. It's not super common that you would have to clean that or lube it, but just so you guys understand how to do it, we're gonna do it. There's a little push dowel pin thing here, and you can probably use your charging handle, and you're just gonna push that down, and boom, this is gonna start to come out. Okay, so you've got your spring, and you've got your buffer, and it's pretty clean. But I'm gonna throw a little oil on it. I'm just gonna run a little strip down it, nothing crazy, and I'm just gonna move it around, just so it's on there, just for peace of mind that this thing is good to go. All right, I don't count on this thing for a home defense or an everyday carry, obviously, but I do want it to work when I drive out to the range to shoot with my friends. So we got that good. I'm gonna fold it back out. Down here in the trigger group, we talked about that with his. I'm just gonna drop a couple drops of oil on the springs. Okay, a little bit on the hammer. And that's gonna do it. I'm not cleaning any guns in depth like Nate's doing, but I do have a Glock 17 here, and I wanted to show you some of the products that I do use to clean my guns, because it's different. His products are probably fine, but this is what I found to work for myself. So we've got a Glock 17 here. Clean, double, triple check, fire in a safe direction, boom, it's good. We're going to break this thing down. This isn't the dirtiest of guns. And this isn't a Glock cleaning video, so if you have questions on how to clean your Glock, feel free to leave a comment and let me know that you would like to learn how. So, these things, Remington Rem oil wipes, just CLP baby wipes. They work great. I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to do a little wipe down here. Just nothing crazy. I'm not even going to use like a Q-tip or a brush. I'm not going to use anything. These things do work. So I'm just gonna give it a quick little wipe down. Right, nothing crazy. Oh no, my recoil spring's leaving. Okay. This is a very quick and not a real clean job of a Glock, even though a cleaning of a Glock is pretty simple. Okay, but check this out. There's a quick wipe down with one of these wipes, and they do great. This did have quite a bit of carbon in it, nothing that was really attached and had built up, but it's clean. These things do great. Like I have friends that shoot suppressed guns a lot, and this is what they use. And if you don't know about suppressed guns, they cause a whole lot of gas blowback and carbon buildup. So they work for those guys, they work for me. Push this back together. I'm gonna check the functions. Trigger press, reset, feels good. Trigger press, looks great, feels great. All right guys, well thank you for checking out our second video on the Civilian Arms YouTube channel. I can't promise any sort of consistency with these videos, but you know, let us know in the comments on our Instagram. If you don't follow the Civilian Arms Instagram, go ahead and follow it at Civilian Arms. I'll put it right here. Yeah, we're gonna try and pump out content, a lot more shooting stuff on the Instagram account, and then more technical details on products and firearms and yeah, I don't know.
How-tos,
How-tos, tips and tricks to enjoy yourself at the range, or you know, maybe we'll do some more shooting stuff on the YouTube. Haven't decided yet. This is only our second video, so let us know if you like it. Drop a like. Thanks for watching. See you next time.